What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the KOTOR remake yet again. And whenever we get, financial reports or fiscal statements or whatever, we always get to hear a little something from Embracer, and normally it's nothing regarding KOTOR, and it still isn't. That's actually the most boiled down way of going over this news story. There's still basically no comment, but I'm really going to try to dig. I'm really going to try to look at this quote that he says and talk about what I think it means. And by the way, my prediction, my feeling, my gut feeling is that the game is still in the works, and I feel like if you twist his words just right enough, you can kind of back that statement up. So what we got, besides like Embracer just kind of laying off everybody, right? The number I believe is now 900 people they have fired just over the last little while. It'll definitely continue. They're going to be selling more. You got Gearbox and such that are definitely going to be sold off, and you got them not even commenting or basically saying, yeah, it's probably happening, to a couple of their own studios going to get shut down as well. It is not a good time to be under Embracer Group, but Saber Interactive, Aspire, this game, obviously all of them are still kind of connected. So let's go over what was said. And he was asked, so this is their CEO, Lars, and he's the one who always talks in these things. And he's said stuff like this before. He's done it one other time. This is the second time. He words it slightly differently, but he says, I noticed that anything I say to this becomes a headline, so that is my only comment. And that's when he was asked directly about the KOTOR remake, okay? So one more time. I noticed that anything I say to this becomes a headline, so that is my only comment. Now, the joke's on him because it still became the headline. Maybe not fully the headline, but people, and this is just common, I feel like if you're him, you kind of just have to accept this. Yeah, anytime you talk, anytime the KOTOR is mentioned to you, no comment is still a comment. It's still something that's going to get talked about. This is a very popular game, very popular franchise, a game that's connected to Sony, a remake of one of the most legendary games of all time, and a game that publicly, while not much has happened, there's just so much mystery considering it's been pulled from Aspire, been put to Saber, and we've kind of gone over, we've looked at every single, part to this entire saga, and again, I still believe that is at Saber. And how I read the comment, honestly, I mean, again, this is a twisted way. I'm definitely reaching, okay? You could definitely, if you want to lay into me for that, that's totally fine. How I would see it is if the game was canceled, or if the game, is at the absolute worst state imaginable, I do feel like he would say it. I feel like they're in this weird spot where most likely he would want to say, if he's telling the truth, here's what he would probably say. The game had experienced major problems. Again, you look to the behind-the-scenes kind of rumors of this game, and it was pitched. Aspire felt pretty good about it. In fact, they felt really good about it. Morale was up in the company, and it got shot down hard, and it got, again, removed from it got shot down so bad that they had to let some of their leads go, and then the game was forcefully removed from their cold dead bodies and given to somebody else. So obviously things have happened there, right? That's not you're not going to say that out loud, right? But honestly, even a boiled down tame version of that, the game had some serious problems. In large part, we had to kind of restart it, and it's being moved over. And I would say, in terms of a negative, a negative outlook for this game, I imagine the idea is the game still is coming, but it's just very, very slow. There were the rumors, we talked about where 2022 was actually an early projection. They wanted it. I think even the rumor was Aspire thought that was nuts, right? That was never going to happen. 2025 has been thrown around, and there have been some rumors to suggest the game either wasn't all that far out or still is not all that far out. And when you think of 2025, you might think that's far. It's really not. I mean, it's subjective time, but 2025 is honestly right around the corner. Even if it's 26 at this point, when you hear about the BioShocks of the world, when you hear crazy things like Mass Effect in 2029, which I don't believe that, but when you have almost 2030 being thrown out there, and it's we're all getting so much older, but when you hear 2030 being thrown around, 2025 is not all that far away. But honestly, where I'm at, I feel like it still is happening. And I feel like if we're really going to read into it, which I will, it's almost too complicated, and it has some negatives scattered throughout, where that is the best way of to dodge it, completely to dodge it, right? Because if you're going to say it, you're going to end up saying something like the game maybe not was in trouble, but the game was just not where we needed to be at all. But it was so not where we needed it to be that we had to forcefully like remove it from them and give it to somebody else. And then when they got it, they had to start working. And obviously we've had some problems at Embracer. We've had to fire people, so that's probably slowed it down. And obviously you're not going to say all these things, but that's case in point, right? That is probably what has happened. And that's what I guess the optimist in me. I know there's actually plenty of people actually just on my channel, right, that believe the game is canceled. And that's, look, I totally respect that. I've always been one to kind of think that games that are dead are not dead. I've always tried to get like Beyond Good and Evil 2, or I don't know, even like Bully 2. I was pretty heavy on that as well. There are some examples where it's actually paid off for me, where I've thought games were to be real, even though it's been years since we saw it, and they turned out to, you know, be so. The optimist, the one that kind of just doesn't let these things go, it has paid off for me, I would say, more than it hasn't. But I do totally respect, like, everything we've seen. I think gives off the signal that either something is massively wrong, which I think it was, or the game was canceled. I don't think it's that one. I think it's the first one, but I totally respect, you know, if you think this game is dead, and maybe it should be, to be honest with you. Like, we'll see the end product if it even happens, but maybe it should have just kind of stopped, and you pick it back up another 5 or so years or whatever. But my gut feeling, my prediction, my bet, whatever, is that the game is still happening. It's been slowed based off of what Aspire did to, which, I mean, I would love to know what Aspire did to this game. And then also all these layoffs. You don't do all of the stuff that Embracer has done without touching Saber. And like, it's important to say that, right? Where it's like, we haven't heard anything, but I mean, the amount of people they've fired, the studios they've like all of this stuff. Yes, the studio's not closed, but I'm sure they cut at least a few people, and it depends on who, depends, I guess, on how many, right? But that could slow it down. So you also have that possibility that even though it was moved to where they probably thought like a safer kind of location, a location or a studio that could handle it better, who knows what all of this financial problems they've been having, who knows what that's done to the timeline for a game like this. So I still think it's coming out. I really do. I really believe that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.